Before you write or even begin doing your research for literature review, you need to know what type it is that you're going to be writing, and you're going to learn 3 different types right now. Hi everybody, I'm Leigh from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia and make your best impact. Today we're talking about the different types of literature reviews. Now, you might be saying, hey, I got to do a lit review, what am I going to do? And you might think that you're just going to run off and gather data and analyze it and write it up, but there's actually different kinds of literature reviews, and you need to know what kind it is you're going to write before you start doing your research. So the first one is incredibly common. It's the one that you're most likely to do for your classes, and it's the one that you're most likely to do in your dissertation, okay? This is the integrative review. This is where you've got your topic, you understand what your little niche is that you're going to be researching. You're going to pull all the literature on that. You're going to be reviewing it, critiquing it, analyzing it, synthesizing it, okay, bringing it all together, and it's going to be looking at, it's really kind of like what do we know about this topic? What research has been done? What has it shown us? What do we know? What do we not know? These are incredibly common. Most of the literature reviews that you will read, I know at least in my field, I'm making an assumption about your field, but they're very common. These are going to be really, really easy to find. Okay, so that's the integrative review. Now, the next up this is not as common. This is a methodological review. Okay, now with the integrative review, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I found, let's say, 30 studies on my topic, and I've analyzed them, and here's what these 30 studies tell us about what we know about a particular topic. Okay. The methodological review is different because it's not telling you here's what people have found about my topic. What it's doing instead is it's saying here's how we have studied this problem, okay? And you can do both kinds of reviews with the same data set. So if you had 50 articles, you could do an integrative review, and then you could go back through and reanalyze it and do a methodological review to see not just what do we know about the topic, but how have we gone about understanding. Okay, and what this does is it highlights for you how we have commonly studied a problem and how we have not studied a problem. So it can show you where there are some gaps in terms of methodologically how we have gone about, examining, understanding, and developing our knowledge. And it can actually give you a lot of insight and recommendations for the field about how we need to design studies in the future. Now, you will see up here, I have an example question for you. How have researchers studied adolescents with academic reading difficulties? Okay, and so that you'll see in there, how have researchers studied? Okay, that's saying to me, right? That's saying to my audience, I'm going to talk about methodology. I'm not going to tell you what we have learned about, how to teach adolescents with academic reading difficulties or how to intervene. I'm going to tell you how we've designed and examined the studies, and that's a methodological review. Now, the next kind that I'm going to share with you is the historical review, and that is exactly what you would think it is, right? You're looking at a concept over time, right? How have we understood it? How has it evolved, et cetera, okay? Now, you can define the time period, so you can do recent history. So there might be whatever it is that you're doing your historical review on. It might be just, if you were going to do an exhaustive history, it might be just so much that it's unmanageable. So it could be a recent history, right? Like the last 20 years or the last 10 years. And you would say that, right? You would define time in your research question, or you would define it, in talking about your research question when you set it up. You could do a recent history. You can also do a more exhaustive history, okay? And I've given you 2 examples of questions here. I base this off of my own field. So the first one is, how have researchers studied continuity literacy in the 21st century? Continuity literacy is just thinking about how we teach reading and writing in schools, okay, and subject matter classrooms, right? How do we teach reading and writing in science, for example? So how have researchers studied continuity literacy in the 21st century? Now, what you'll notice about that question is, first of all, I've defined the time period, the 21st century. So that tells me immediately, it's relatively recent, okay? But I'm also saying, how have researchers studied it, which is methodological, right? So the thing about this historical review is I can do a methodological review of studies in the 21st century in my area. I can also do an integrative review of studies, right, in the 21st century in my area, okay? Historical review is going to be one or the other. In this case, with my question, you can see I've set it up to be a methodological review, and I've bound the time to make it recent. I can also make it more exhaustive. I can say, how have researchers studied content area literacy in the 20th and 21st centuries, all right? This is not the only way to write research questions like this, but it does give you an example of how I might bound it in terms of time or expand it, right, in terms of time. And also it shows you how I have thought about making this a methodological review as opposed to an integrative review. So these are 3 common types of literature reviews. You will need to, of course, decide which one you're going to do, or it may have already been decided for you. So pick one, understand what it is, and then write your question and get going. And I will see you in the next video.